The power transmission in the machine is considered to be incomplete without the gears. So we have to know what gear mean and what are different type of gears, and then different terminologies in the gears, and then how this mechanics of gear works. A gear is considered to be a machine element in which teeth are cut around cylindrical or conical surfaces with equal spacing. So by meshing a pair of these elements, they are used to transmit rotation and forces from the driving shaft to the driven shaft. Spur gear is the simplest type of gear in which teeth axis is parallel to the shaft axis. Or we can say that teeth are cut parallel to the shaft. Teeth are cut parallel to the shaft. If the teeth axes are at some angle with respect to the shaft axis, then the gear will become helical gear. And this angle, the teeth angle with respect to the shaft axis, is denoted by helix angle. To transmit heavy load or more power, we need robust gear. And this purpose can be easily done by double helical gear, also known as herringbone gear. In case of double helical gear, the outermost surface of the gear we have double inclined teeth. So double inclined teeth on the driver gear and double inclined teeth on the matching driven gear. Bevel gear is used where we have to transmit power in the 90 degree. So the axis of both the gears are 90 degree to each other, and they are the axis of driver gear and the driven gear. They are intersecting each other at a 90 degree, and the teeth are on the conical surface. If the axis of driver or the pinion gear with respect to the larger or crown gear, they are not intersecting each other at a 90 degree, but they are on the right angle to each other, then the special arrangement is called Hypoid Gear. And there is some special kind of gear where the angle of power transmission is arbitrary, means it's not at right angle, it's not at 90 degree, but at the axis of driver gear and the driven gear can be at any angle. Then we can call this as a spiral gear arrangement. A very special type of gear assembly exists when we have to transmit power, and also we want to change the mode of motion from rotation to translation. Then we can use rack and pinion gear. So pinion gear rotates around its axis and it drives the rack gear, and the rack gear it translates. So this rotation motion is transformed into the linear motion, and also the power is transmitted from the pinion to this rack by rotation to the translation. Worm and worm gear is a very special kind of gear arrangement. It's very similar to the rack and pinion gear arrangement, but here the mode of motion is rotation only. So one gear which is attached to the motor, and you have to transmit power from The first gear is named as worm. To the second gear, which is a disc shape, and the teeth are cut on the outer surface, it's named as worm wheel. So worm gear attached to the motor, it rotates, and worm wheel which is attached to the driven shaft is also rotating. So you are transmitting power from motor to the driven shaft via rotation. And this type of arrangement, the shaft axis of worm gear which is attached to the motor to the worm wheel which is attached to the driven shaft are right angle to each other. If the gear assembly is such that one gear is moving inside the other gear, then this type of gear assembly is known as internal tooting gear. Planetary gear is a type of internal tooting gear where more than one gear of smaller size are rotating inside the gear of a larger size. So this type of gear arrangement is very much similar to our solar system, where the central gear, which is mounted on the carrier shaft, is named as sun gear, and the other small gears which are linked to the sun gear and also to the bigger inner tooting gear named as planet gears. The bigger gear which has internal tooth is referred to as internal ring gear, and this whole assembly is named as planetary gear. That's all about the type of gears for today's lecture. If you have some question or queries, then you can ask via WhatsApp group or Google Classroom.